All right, let's talk about ITIL 4. It's a framework built to answer one really important question. How do organizations stop just, doing stuff with technology and start creating real, actual value? Let's dive in. You've seen this happen a million times, right? A company rolls out some flashy new app or feature and crickets. Customers just don't care. It's this classic frustrating gap between all the effort you put in and the outcome you get. Well, ITIL U4 is designed to bridge that exact gap. So to make this all feel a bit more real, we're going to follow the story of a company called Axle Car Hire. They're a big global business, and they're in the middle of trying to completely transform their services. And they're going to use ITIL 4 as their roadmap. So their journey is going to be our guide. So here's how we'll break it all down. We're going to look at the problem they're facing, get to the core idea of what value even is, then explore the system and the principles that guide it. And finally, we'll look under the hood at the engine that makes the whole thing run. Okay, first things first, let's just set the scene here. What is the fundamental challenge that a company like Axle, and honestly, pretty much any company today, is up against? The thing is, the problem isn't a lack of tech. It's the opposite. Technology is everywhere. Think about it. From booking a car to ordering your morning coffee, pretty much every single service is powered by IT. So the real challenge now is getting all the different parts of an organization, the different teams, the different departments, to actually work together to turn all that cool tech into something a customer truly cares about. And that word I just said, value, brings us to the absolute heart of the ITIL 4 framework. It is the sun that everything else orbits around. It's a simple word, but it's an incredibly powerful and kind of complex idea. Now look closely at this definition. The most important word here, it's perceived. See, ITIL 4 is super clear about this. Value isn't something the company decides. It's not what you think is valuable. It's what the person on the other end perceives as valuable. And that makes it totally subjective. So let's go back to Axel's customers. Meet Ichika. She's a frequent business traveler. For her, some big promotion like get an extra day free is actually worthless. She values speed, convenience, getting in and out without any hassle. That's her definition of value. But now, meet Farouk. He's a retiree, he's watching his budget. For him, that exact same offer, an extra day for free, is incredibly valuable. It directly solves his problem of affordability. It's the same service, but a completely different perception of its value. And then you've got Amelia. She's a corporate client, booking cars for her entire team. What does she value? Consistency, reliability. She just needs to know with 100% certainty that the car will be there and it'll work every single time. That free day, it does nothing to help her with her core need. So this is the big takeaway, right? A company like Axle can't just create value in a vacuum and then, ship it out the door. Value is co-created. It only comes to life in that active relationship, that interaction between the provider and the consumer. It's a partnership. Okay, so if value is this squishy, subjective, co-created thing, how in the world do you manage it? You can't just cross your fingers and hope it happens. You need a system. And this is exactly where ITIL 4 steps in with something called the Service Value System, or SVS. The best way to think about it is like an operating system for the entire organization. It's a blueprint that shows how all the different parts of the company have to work together to turn an opportunity. From a bird's eye view, it's actually pretty simple. You have inputs on one side, things like customer demand or a new business idea. The SVS processes those inputs through all of its interconnected parts, and what comes out the other end? Value. Value for the customer, for the company, for everyone involved. And to make sure you're not missing anything, the SVS forces you to look at everything through these 4 dimensions. Just think about Axle again. They could have the world's greatest app, that's information and technology, but if their people aren't trained to support it, that's organizations and people. Or if their airport partners are a mess, that's partners and suppliers, the whole thing falls apart. You have to look at it from every angle because a weak link in any one of these dimensions can kill value before it's ever created. So a system gives you the structure, right? But how are people supposed to act? How should they make decisions day to day? That's where the ITIL guiding principles come in. They're like the cultural DNA of the system. Now, ITIL lays out several of these guiding principles, and they're really the soul of the framework. Focus on value is that constant gut check. Does this thing I'm doing actually help Ichika or Farouk or Amelia? Start where you are means Axle doesn't have to burn down its old systems. They can build on what already works. And collaborate and promote visibility? Well, that just means the marketing folks and the app developers actually need to be in the same room talking to each other. These aren't just feel-good posters for the wall, they're practical, everyday guides for making better decisions. Okay, so we've got the overall system and we've got the principles that guide behavior. Now, let's look at the engine inside the SVS, the part that actually gets the work done. And that engine is called the service value chain. It's a set of key activities that any organization needs to do to respond to demand. The crucial thing here is that it's not a rigid step-by-step process. Think of it more like a set of building blocks that you can arrange and rearrange in different ways depending on what you're trying to build. And here's what that looks like in the real world. Axel wants to build a new booking app. The specific journey they take through those building blocks, from engaging with users to understand what they want, to designing it, building it, and then delivering it, that whole pathway is called a value stream. And each time they create something new, it might be a slightly different path. Notice how they can loop back and forth. Maybe during the build phase, they get feedback that sends them back to design. That flexibility is absolutely essential. So look, if you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. ITIL 4 is not some dusty old book of rules you have to follow. It's a flexible, modern framework. It gives you an operating system, the SVS, and a guiding philosophy to help your entire organization focus all of its energy every single day on one thing: co-creating value. Which really leaves us with one final question to think about. How does your organization create value? Do you have a clear, conscious system for turning good ideas into outcomes that your customers genuinely feel are valuable? Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that really matters.